Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode, another amazing guest, another privilege it is to be sat here interviewing people. Today on the show, we've got Muscle Man himself, Marcus Guilhem. He is a model, actor, and fitness influencer who has traveled the world featuring in over 30 shoots from fashion weeks to commercials, clothing lines, you name it, he's done it. He's also been in a handful of movies as an actor, as well as the first Vietnamese model on the cover of Men's Health magazine, which I think is awesome. And he was also a former brand ambassador at Nike and currently ambassador at California Fitness and Yoga. Mr. Marcus, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I can't wait to interview you and ask you questions and learn more about you.
No, it's me, Axel. Thank you for your time and honor me with this with interview. I mean, all my background, to my history, if I can share it with you, would be my great pleasure.
Perfect. And as always, guys, my notes are on my iPad, so if I'm ever looking down, that is why. So, an hour on the clock, let's get right into it. So, Marcus, I know I was reading about you, and I know that you were born and raised in France, but then ended up moving to Australia for
Yeah.
studying. Now, I'm someone who also lives in a country that's not their home country. So I grew up in Hong Kong and I'm from Bulgaria. So I'm just curious, how was that transition coming from France, from Europe to Australia like?
Uh, well, there was a tiny transition as well. So I was born and raised in France. Lived 16 years in France. Went to Africa for 1 year, then Australia for 4 years, where I graduated, and then moved to Vietnam, where I live permanently. But I think the transition between France and Australia was not too hard. I think the issue was mostly my English. I didn't have the Aussie slang, or my English was not that great when I was 17 over there. So most likely was this one. Also, maybe such as yourself, when you go to a young age, and you go to a foreign country and live on your own, it's most likely the basic challenge. I think the most culture shock I had was when I came to Vietnam to visit my family in 1991. Yeah, this
Mm.
was challenging.
What was that? Because I know France and Australia, they're not so similar, but they're more similar than say Vietnam and France or Vietnam and
Yeah,
Australia. Well, how
it,
was
it,
that like?
it is indeed, because if you look at France and Australia, the most developed countries, but
Yeah.
Vietnam is still under development. So the first time when I came to Vietnam, I think I was about 12. Uh, the shower was the basin, and you have to put the water go on the top of
Uh,
you. There was no hot water, no pressure. There were no buildings in Vietnam, barely no cars. Flood was going really high, power cut all the time. The hygiene of food was not there. Vietnam grew tremendously from the time I discovered in 1991 till today. I mean, actually, yesterday I was attending the Gumball 3000, and you had more than 120 supercars from all around the world. Vietnam really changed.
wow. I'm a car guy, man. That is cool. Which one was your favorite car out of all of them?
You have the Koenigsegg, the Pagani as well were there. You have you had quite a few. I had the chance to go through all the cars, and yeah, it was really breathtaking. And to meet some of the guys, I don't know if you know Maximilian Cooper,
Yeah, I've
uh,
heard.
and there was Patrice Evra was here as well. There was okay, I Show Speed was here too, etc., etc. So it really showed the evolution from the shower and no cars you go like this to now
Yeah,
to have a more international level kind of thing.
crazy. I mean, I went to Da Nang in July, and when I
Yeah,
went, I was like, wow, this place. I call it the Miami of Asia. It's so nice, beaches. Guys, if you haven't been there, you have to go check it out. So, Marcus, I don't know if you guys have seen this guy, but this guy is in tremendous shape. He is, I mean, for all of his modeling shoots, chiseled, lean, muscular. I'm always curious to ask this question. What made you start lifting weights?
Everybody is asking me the same question on this one. Well, okay, I'm gonna be straightforward with it. So when I was a kid, I was a typical Asian, was very skinny, very very lean, and I was watching all these action movies, from Bruce Lee movie, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and you name it. And I decided, I wanted to pump up some iron. So that's when I was a kid. I, didn't have much money, so I was watching whichever. I don't know, I can't remember which movie exactly, but yes, it was one of those. And I wanted to pump it up, so I didn't have any weights at home because I was a kid, no money. So I went straight for the vacuum, and I was doing biceps curl with a vacuum. So That's how I started, and then I guess I hit the gym at a point in time. So I wanted to be not fragile anymore, and to get this confidence, and look at my idols on movie, and that's what actually made me want to make a change.
Wow. I hope mom wasn't too mad about the vacuum. that that's insane though, because I a lot of people don't a lot of people think in order to start you have to have a dumbbell, you have to have an easy bar, you have to go to the gym. Whereas I mean, you're living proof. Like, aside from mom getting mad, you can use anything to start transforming your
Yeah,
body.
it was the start of a journey, and you do with what you have. So you can do exercise with body weights, which includes, of course, push up, pull up if you can find a bar. You can do some biceps curl with a vacuum. Uh, that's how you start.
Yeah. So how long was it from when you first started lifting weights to actually modeling?
For me, when I really truly started to hit the gym was when I was when I came in Australia, and I was about 17 years old. I got a membership, and that's the time that I really hit the weights. But I was looking at all the video on YouTube, and I didn't know how to train. So most likely I was endangering myself, thinking that eating a lot could bring me muscle, and lifting as heavy as possible was the way. So I did waste quite a large amount of year doing this. And if there was one piece of advice I could share to the younger generation, would be to surround themselves with people with experience. We can combine training and nutrition together. I wasted maybe 10 years of my life doing the wrong training. If I, in 1 year training with a proper nutrition and training, I get so much more results than we get in
Mm.
10 years. And that would be the piece of advice, because not only you won't injure yourself, you will learn much faster, and you have gained much faster. And that's, I think, is very important in nowadays.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of young people, they just go and they're like, "Oh, it's fine, I'm lifting." And it's just like what you said, if you don't have the right advice, if you don't have the right mentors, you can save so much time just simply getting help. So, so you were young, you were gymming, you were in a foreign country, then you really started to take it seriously. What made you fall in love specifically with working out? Because I know some people, they're like, "Oh, it's a hobby. Oh, I do it in my free time." But I see, and I've also read that you really started to take it seriously and dial in. What was it
Well,
for you?
I think that the first, when you're younger, again, flashback to where I come from, to this skinny guy uh, without any muscle, and I go to Australia. And Australia, believe me, those guys are big. If you want to be noticed and you want to be on the market, to seduce some of the ladies over there, or even be noticed, you have to pump some iron. So that was my first call. I was doing this, and so to get in shape, and then I started modeling as well in Australia. So how did this passion started? I guess when you start training and you see some result and the appreciation of other people, and that's what actually keep you motivated. But as mentioned to you, I truly enjoy training, not from the time I started. Because when I started, I was looking at YouTube. I was finding some training online. Wanted to impress a girl, wanted to look good for fashion shoots. But the time that I truly enjoy weightlifting is when I actually understood which exercise to train for which part, which food is more efficient than other food, what you need to eat and not to eat, and
Yeah.
how I went through this journey. And I did not start that one since 10 years later on.
Yeah. How did you get into modeling?
Well, as I said, as a guy who used to be very introvert, shy, very skinny, didn't even dare to talk to people, I always had two dreams as a kid. One dream was which I wanted to be a model and I wanted to be an actor. But then I told myself, well, you know what? You're in France. You're not tall enough. You're not big enough. You're not chiseled. You don't have the jawline like they have in Europe. So it's not going to happen. And then I got discovered in Asia, and they told me, why don't you do it in Asia? And I was like, okay, I mean, I can try. So they flew me to Philippines, and then from the Philippines, there was one photographer at that time. He worked with Jackie Chan. His name is Jun De Leon, and he's the one. He told me before, the agency in the Philippines told me before I come take some picture in Australia. But when they look at the picture in Australia, they were like, "Oh boy!" So they got Jun De Leon to make my portfolio, and then that's how I got started. But since I was in Asia, modeling didn't come, and I look mostly Asian. Things didn't go so easy in a sense that when I came back from the Philippines to Australia, I'm not saying that it was kind of racist, but I'm saying like there were more market for Brazilian, Latino, Western-looking, blonde, blue eyes, especially in Perth. So I was in Sydney 1 year, and I was 3 years in Perth. In Perth, I was the second Asian model. There were no other model Asian in Western Australia at that time.
Wow. So out of the whole wow. I didn't realize, because now, I mean, nowadays there are Asian models everywhere. Everyone's everywhere.
Uh,
Wow. So how was it more so mentally for you as well? I mean, you're young, you're starting out, you're new to this. It's one of your dreams. Everyone's saying, no, you're this, no, you're that. How did you, I mean, how did you build that mental resilience and go, no, I'm going to get this. No, I'm going to keep pushing. No, I'm going to make it for myself.
Well, there is the fight mode, but there is also the part that I won't lie to you. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't know how to pose in front of the camera. I didn't know my assets. I didn't know how to use them. So it shows on the camera. So it's a lot of practice, a lot of rejection. And when you talk about the no, when I come back from Australia, when I come back from Philippines, Australia, and I had, how do you call that? I did Men's Health. I did not Men's Health. I did FHM magazine over there, Fashion Week over there. But when I come back to Australia, they look at my book and they're like, "Yeah, I think Asia is your market." So you look at the top agency in Western Australia and try the first one, the second one, the third one. They said, "Oh, we're going to put you in the category of normal people. And if you sell, we put you in the model category," till the last agency. And the last agency absolutely loved me. And immediately they signed me, and I did casting on the afternoon for the similarity of Fashion Week, but it was more in Western Australia. Out of 100 guys models, they only choose 6. And I was one of them. So I was representing the Asian side. So yes, I was super mega proud. And but my first show was for Versace and all those brands, and you're like, I don't know how to do catwalk. So at that time, fashion TV was happening, and I didn't know how to post. I was looking at it, but let's just say my first fashion show was not my best performance, especially for these big brands. And
Yeah.
every time we were coming back in backstage, and the guy was like, "Okay, Marcus, 10 seconds," and I see all this guy, the other model, rushing to change into the other outfit, and me, I was chilling. Like, Marcus, 5 seconds, yawn. I'm like, "Oh shit!" that was fun.
I mean, people don't understand like the behind the scenes of modeling. The reason why I'm laughing so much is because I have one modeling experience where I went to this agency. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's coming. I'm just like, I just want to be a model. And they're like, all right, cool. Pose. I'm like, oh. So I just start doing all of these, football celebrations or your casual, like, one hand up. And then they come and say after me, it's like, I really think you should reconsider your career choices. I'm like, oh wow. so that's why when you're saying you just don't know what to do, I really resonate with you because it's hard. And that brings me to another question though. How did you, of course with time, but what in specific advice or different mentors did they tell you to really help you become more confident with that?
First of all, you have to set your goal, your dream, and whoever tells you it's not possible, whoever the naysayers are against you, don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Rome was not built in one day. You have to go through many failures. I mean, the number of casting that I've done for different commercial, and whichever job I got was like the ratio was, let's say, 100 casting and you get one job, one commercial, and you have to compete with all the other guys. So every time you get rejected or you get no news, and you tell yourself, why this guy's more than me, why this? But from the moment you do that, you enter the negativity. You have to tell yourself, take things a different way. Through those years of experience, if I can share with you, will be
Go
mostly
for
like
it. I'm more than happy to hear it.
each time there is a job for one person, and it's made for that person. Or the casting director know what he wants. So it's not because you're not pretty enough, you're not handsome enough, or whatever. It's just because they're looking for the specific look or the specific skills, which that's some people may have or not have. But again, it doesn't. Don't take it on a personal level that affect you. And you know what? When you keep on falling, you can just keep on standing up. You keep on standing up. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I will talk about the movie later, but yeah, I have a lot of my first movie. I have a lot to share with you.
That that is, I mean, what you said just there. If you guys were paying attention, that is spot on the money because, I mean, it is true. You have to look at the long picture. You have to keep your goal in mind. And Marcus is proof because shortly we'll be talking about how he became the first Vietnamese model to be on Men's Health. And that's just a testimony to his hard work, his dedication. And he's not just saying, yeah, keep consistent. He's showing you what happens if you do keep consistent, which Marcus, mate, I tip my hat off with my messy hair to you because that I really respect that and I really admire that. So let's talk about your first movie. So, because I'm really interested as well. Tell me some of
So,
your experiences about it.
so it's funny. So I did uh, very quick flashback with the cover of Men's Health. At that time, Men's Health one was on the top magazine that every models want to be on the cover because it's internationally recognized and so on. I was doing the body transformation for health purpose, for also I wanted for performance. That's this time I told you I'm starting to enjoying training when I knew about nutrition and so on. And after Men's Health Singapore flew me in to do the cover, but when they casted me for it, they told me, you're going to be in Men's Health. I was like, great, I'm going to be in Men's Health. And say, no, you're not going to be in the magazine. You're going to be the cover of the magazine. And I was like, oh shit, that's a big thing. So I was on holiday at that time. They cast me. I had to send photos on how I was, And then boom, that's it. They flew me in. I prepared like crazy for it. How can I say? I'm a perfectionist. I want to make sure I give my best in whatever I do. So I did prepare, did due diligence. And then when I flew back, people heard about it. And at that time, I remember I was training in the gym. I was on the treadmill, and suddenly my friend called me and said, "Hey, you want to be in a movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, that's a dream. But my Vietnamese sucks. I don't know if I can actually be in there." He said, "No, come. They're looking for main actor." And I was okay. So I go to the casting and I go with my business clothes. And then they're like, "So which role can you fill up the form?" And I say, "I'm sorry, I cannot fill up the form. I cannot read Vietnamese." And then they're like, can you tell me what role do you apply for?" And I was like, "I don't know. They just asked me to come here." and then and then one of the actors came to me and they looked at me and he was like, "You may want to change because they may ask you to do some kick and stuff in there." So I was like, "Okay," but my shirt, my gym shirt was wet because I was doing cardio. I could only wear my jogging pants. So I decided I wear my jogging pants and my business shirt. So I walk in the room and then boom, I see a U-shape tables going on with like 20 to 30 people, all the media taking pictures. And I was like, oh boy. So they came to me and they were like, "Do you speak Vietnamese?" "No." "Can you read Vietnamese?" "No." "Do you want I mean, do you have a monologue?" And I was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Do you want to try?" "No." And then it's like, "Do you want to read one rule?" I'm like, "Nope." And they say, "Can you fight?" "Yep." And then they asked me, "Can you take off your shirt?" So I took off my shirt, and then everybody's like, "Whoa," and I was, I'm a person, I'm very down to earth. So when you're in a nervous situation, you want to return things, right? Yeah. So I said, "I'm sorry, is it the casting for Magic Mike?" And I was just joking with them. And then there was like a guy coming from the back, like the Chinese guy with a very goatee, long hair. Yeah. And he come with a pad. He's like, "Okay, let's go." Turning high kick. I was like, "Wait, so hold on. When I said I used to do martial art, it was maybe some time before. Can you lower it a little bit down?" I was like, okay. All right, turning back kick. No, a bit lower." So I really thought I made a fool out of myself. But I had a good time. That was good. And then the director afterwards, they called me and they asked me to go on the, how do you call that? To meet them and said, "Are you interested to be in the movie? Because we casted all the role, but we're planning to make a role for you." And I was like, "Is it okay for you?" And I was like, "Sure." And I'm more than happy to join you. So that was the casting of my first movie. But now to tell you what opened the door for me, and that's the time that I'm going to use the words goal oriented and to be very consistent.
Yeah.
I think that at that time I was a little bit bulky, and I was bulky because I was trying to get on more muscle. So when I meet them, I will send you the picture. And when I meet them, they were okay the way I look, but for me, I find it was too massive for an action movie.
Yeah.
They did not ask me that, but I did. I think when I did the casting, I was about 12 to 14% body fat. But when I knew I had some scene to do topless fighting, I went down to 3 to 6%. So I really killed myself on this. I'm very dedicated in what I do, even if it was not asked for it. All the money of my first movie, I use it to buy my own food. because nothing wrong with the food that they give on the set. But if you want to keep that kind of physique, you need to control every single gram of what you put in. And I will show you. I will send you the how it looks like on screen. But yes, it does look ripped.
Yeah, I mean, wow, 3 to 6%. I mean, I think the lowest I ever went was maybe 8 or 9 in preparation for a bodybuilding show, and I felt like a zombie. I couldn't do much. I couldn't.
It is indeed, and that's the behind the scene that people don't know when I do this kind of thing is and it was not asked from me. I mean, I knew that the guys wanted me the way I was, but I just wanted to tell myself, hey, it's not every day that you're going to do an action movie. If you have to do an action movie, you better go for the kill. One guy told me one time, don't show your weakness, show your strength. And I didn't know. I did never acted before. I definitely cannot speak the best Vietnamese. So I know what my ace was. It was to look really ripped at martial arts.
Yeah.
So I focused on those and wanted to make sure, because I didn't know if it was gonna be my first and my last movie, or if I was gonna do more movies. So I told myself, well, you know what? If you're gonna hit the big screen, you better do it in style, because you never. So I make sure I was freaking ready, but I was freaking out. So the behind the scene of it, and coming back to the Hugh Jackman thing, is that normally you go about 6 months preparation for a movie. The second part is that you lean up 3 months period before actually shooting a scene, and because you don't want to lose too much muscle, and you dehydrate yourself for about 3 days, and you're about 1 day without water before hitting the screen. So when you actually doing all this fighting over and over and over, and you're like, you have no water in you, and you like just can get a zip of water in between, you're at the limit of fainting. So yes, it looks great for the screen, but you're pushing yourself to a level which is absolutely insane. The other part, which is very difficult to hide on camera, is because you get a very chiseled look and you get this eye bag. Because the other part is that you have to eat every 3 hours. So when you eat every 3 hours, you can't really sleep much. And you have to get some training in, and you have to do the martial art rehearsal, and etc. etc. So it was a very diligent work that I applied to myself, that the production didn't ask me. But then you can look at the poster, you can look, man, it looks freaking insane. It looks great. It looks great for what it is. Especially that I do natural physique. I don't take anything else than a protein shake, and that's it. I would not take any other stuff.
Wow. Because a lot of people, like, they just see, oh, wow, this looks great, 6-pack, muscles, but they really don't understand how much work you have to put in behind. Wow, fighting on barely any sleep, barely any. Have you ever had any experiences where you actually fainted, or had to be like, guys, give me a minute, my head
No,
is really.
I did not have this one, but what I had was another funny one, which was how do you call that? I had an accident with my lower back, and it was another movie, and I was very funny. The casting was just over dinner. I did not even do a proper casting. I was talking to the guy, and then suddenly he told me, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you, I'm shooting a movie right now. Why don't you be?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." You know, when they're talking entertainment, you never know if it's real or not, right?
Yeah.
And the next day, his assistant called me, and he told me, "Hey, do you like to be in a movie?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." But I thought the casting is finished and so on. That was another movie.
Yeah.
But then they were preparing the contract, and the day before they bring the contract, I hurt my back. So when I hurt my back, I went to see my physiotherapist, and my physiotherapist told me, "Forget it, it's not gonna happen." Then I went to see a chiropractor, and he told me, Well, with a lot of painkiller, you may be able to pull it out because you tell yourself, "Shit, man, it's a one-time opportunity. Things I can't mess it up." So I was on the set of the movie doing all the diet and so on. They make me do cable work as well. And then you do the fight. I was wearing my training belt during the rehearsal because I don't want to get hurt, right?
Mm.
But during the actual shooting, I cannot wear it and I have zero protection. And then suddenly I hear my back is like I'm set because I've like slip disc. And then I was like, wait a second, I'll uh, I'll be back. and I work like a grandpa, and I take the painkiller, and I'm like, yes, let's do it. But yeah, not my proudest moment, but as I said, I'm really when you asked me before about fitness, about passion, it was like from a dream to be like this, from the strength, from the confidence to the goal oriented, and you're willing to cross boundaries, get out of your comfort zone to reach another level. Don't do anything which is unhealthy. Don't mistake me about that. But I'm thinking like you have to slowly, step by step, go towards your goals. But again, nothing is impossible. I transformed some guys. They were like 40 years old. Their marriage was going down the drain. In 6 months training, they got a crazy body. In 1 year, they were on another level. But
Yeah.
they were really following diligently what to do and how to eat.
Wow. Wow. I mean, wow. That is so true what you're saying. That is the amount of wisdom that you've spat out this episode so far. We're only like halfway through. It is really just, sitting down, hearing it, being a person who's trying right now to go through the process and chase your dreams and do all of these things, and just hearing you say that, and looking at you as well, that not only you're saying it like I said earlier, but you're following through with it, is just, it's just inspiring, man. So thank you so much for that.
No. It's my pleasure. I just, for me, the message to all the viewers is not to be cheesy and say, hey,
Yeah.
nothing is impossible. And of course, there's people that are successful. There are people that are lucky and they don't put so much of the work. And there are the people that put the hard work and may get lucky. But at the end of the day, if you put all into perspective, I mean, fitness opened me so much door that I never thought I would reach. From modeling to acting, I get the chance to from the guys that people used to look down when I was a kid. And the next day, I'm having dinner with Oliver Stone. I'm saying hi to Spike Lee. I'm having a great time with Dustin, or I'm partying with the director of King Kong and Rogue One, for example. To the different doors that it opened, it's just amazing. And I think if I can share this with the next generation, is you put the work, you may not get the result today. Keep on going, and you know what? It's gonna pay eventually. Because there are two kind of people: the one that are lucky and the people that are hard worker. But at the end of the day, on the long term, luck has nothing to do with it. So be consistent.
I mean, hearing your stories and hearing your mindset and hearing how you are, I think this is going to make this question even sweeter. How was it? I know we touched on it a little bit, but now I really want to get into it. How was it being the first Vietnamese model to be not in the magazine, but the cover of the Men's Health magazine?
I was
Tell me
so
about
I was first. I was, you're screaming because you're so happy about it. You don't realize what's coming up to you, and it's a chance of 100 guy models that are fighting to be on the cover, and many celebrities as well. You going out there, so it was definitely like for me. It was, yeah, there was a big reward. And the part that I didn't tell you is that before I got into the men's health, few months before, this is the time that I started the true journey of fitness. In a sense that before I called it playing with the weights for 10 years, when I was thinking eating a lot and bulking up. But I would say a few months before get discovered to be the model for men's health, I went through the transformation journey upon which I was very strict with my diet. And I can guarantee you, I was like a junkie because sugar is kind of a drug, right? So when you cut all the sugar out of your diet and you're like very anxious and nervous and you can't eat food that's, make you comfortable or that you used to enjoy, and because you look at yourself every day in the mirror, so you don't see yourself with the improvement. And I was about to give up because I'm the kind of guy is like this. I don't want to spend 10 years in the gym and get no result.
Yeah.
I rather go like 1 year and get some crazy good result.
Yeah.
And to do that, I'm willing to make the sacrifice to get fast results, a healthy way, which I did. So after 3 months of intensive training and diet, I was about to give up. This was it for me. I said, sorry, fitness is not for me.
Yeah.
But then when you receive the phone call of Men's Health and they told you to be on the cover, it was the reward, saying that someone appreciate your hard work out there and you're going to put it up. So not only I was super mega excited, but then on the top of this, I was so nervous that I brought all my food from Vietnam and I packed every single box, bodybuilder style. And I went over there. So I guess the hotel didn't want to warm up my food. So I even had to go to 7-Eleven to warm up my food because he was controlling every single gram, controlling my water. I was worried for any mistake because I want to make the shoot perfect. It's just how I am. I'm just like that. And yes, so that's how I did it. So I brought all my food and I was controlling everything. I was trying to get a bit of sleep and I did the shooting.
Wow. How does it feel as a Vietnamese person in particular? Because I mean, I'm part Australian, part Bulgarian. When Australia, we're always competing at the top. So when Australia wins, I'm like, but I'm also Bulgarian. So whenever we win anything, whether it's an Olympic medal, even if it's bronze, if it's an award, as a Bulgarian, I'm just like, yes, like so proud. So how did you feel as a Vietnamese person, as one of the smaller countries in Asia, coming to arguably the most popular men's magazine in the world? How did your family feel?
Well, coming back to the family part, they never supported me doing modeling. They never wanted me to get into entertainment per se, because they were like, man, I paid you expensive studies in Australia. It's not for you to do like this and like that. So at the beginning, when I was starting to do modeling, my father was always criticizing me and giving me a hard time. But as long as I graduated, passed my studies, and he didn't say too much. But there was a behind the scene as well, that as a father to a son, you want your son to follow the right track and not to be distracted by something that could appear like a dream. So what I'm trying to say here is that for viewers is that you can still follow your academics and still pursue your dream at the same time. I managed to do so. And no matter how much my father criticized me at the beginning, he unfortunately had a heart attack at a point in time in his life and asked me to come back from Australia to sign his last will. And he, under his pillow, he had all my magazine with all my pictures. And he was showing to all the nurse, this is my son, this is my son. So, even if, for example, your family may not support you today or don't understand you tomorrow, at the end of the day, your family will always be proud of you. and you will always have different challenges. Family, whether they support you or they don't, at the end of the day, I think what family wants you before, they want you to be happy. It's not
Mm,
about model you to their way. It's about they want you to be happy and fulfilled. And of course, if you can make an income out of your passion, not many people get to work and to do the passion. I get the chance to do my academic and have the entertainment. I got the chance to work as a businessman and also do the entertainment.
mm,
And some people, like I remember when I was also the ambassador for Yamaha in Aquafina, and when my poster with the Yamaha motorbike was on there, I mean, people asked me and they said, "Do you still work?" And I'm like, "I never left." Or when you have your face on the bottle of Aquafina and you go for a business meeting and you have 100 guests and you have 100 bottle with your face in it, and you're like, "Please don't recognize me. Please don't recognize me." And you want people to recognize. I mean, you want people to to see that you're a real businessman.
yeah.
So they come with a challenge, but at the end of the day, I follow my dream, I follow my passion. I still time to time I do casting for certain project that I really truly want to be part of or believe in.
Mm,
And no matter what difficulties you have, like a family, talking about family, I have 3 kids,
yeah.
and I managed to be an active father, play with them, control my diet every single moment when I'm on a shooting time, and to be in the office and also to be in the entertainment. Price to pay, yes, you don't sleep much, but I believe you have only one life,
Yeah.
and you have to you have to maximize it and follow your dream.
Wow. Just before we jump into parenting and everything, because I know you mentioned that your parents weren't really too happy with your decisions, and in particular your dad. How
Mhm.
did you feel when you found out, more so emotionally, I guess, like, wow, my dad's showing everyone me, and I mean, you said he kept it under his pillow and everything.
Mhm.
How did you feel when you found out?
Well, it's like of course at that time my mind was not so clear because I told myself I was gonna lose my dad because he had to go through a bypass. I didn't know I was gonna make it. Of course, when I found out he was proud, I was like, "You little scummer, you give me shit, but at the end of the day, you're keeping all my catalog behind your pillow and you're showing all the nurses." So of course you feel very proud, and you feel that you're indirectly, secretly, your father appreciate your work, but he doesn't dare to tell you because maybe deep inside him he's scared because it's one place, one environment that he he doesn't know, and he cannot support you in this one, and from his knowledge he's deemed to failure, or you may lose track of what truly could create you an income, for example. And that's what he as parents, you want to protect your kids. So
Yeah.
deep inside he was proud, and we laugh about it eventually because I proved to him that not only I can do my academic, I can do my work, and I can still do entertainment. So from the moment he has nothing to say.
Mm,
And I remember one time, it was funny. I did the commercial for Yamaha, and they blocked the whole city for me to shoot. And I was wearing the helmet, and my father was coming to me and said, "Hey, me too. I can be a model for Yamaha. You're wearing the helmet. I don't even see your face."
Dad's trying to steal credit.
But it's fun. I mean, it's like he came to the shooting because of course he was proud. But imagine from the guy who tell you, "Don't do this. I don't
Mm,
want you to be like this kind of thing. It doesn't bring money." It's like, but he came himself to the cafe and he wanted to catch every moment on the street walking because he's proud.
mm. That is, I mean, that is just having your parents there, especially with, when the conversation isn't as happy as you want it to be, and then it comes to the show day or shooting day, and they're just there like, go, go, go. That's such a surreal feeling. And I know a lot of people, well, not a lot, but I know quite a few people who are in a similar situation with you, where they have these goals, they have these dreams, and their parents are not necessarily the most supportive with it. And you saying what you said, I'm sure that just gave everyone that motivation to just chase it, find the balance, and know deep down inside, despite what they're saying, they're going to be proud of you anyways, as long as you're happy. I've got an interesting question, because I know quite a few people as well who struggle with this, and I know this is it's more a problem in the fitness industry, and I feel like you may have a really good take on it.
Okay.
How have you ever suffered with body dysmorphia from all your dieting, your training, you have to look this way?
Do you mean like being obsessed about it, or what do you mean?
Like, in the sense that you lose touch of reality, and if you're not this lean or this big, or you're not looking the way you want it, you're not the way you want to be, essentially, and that makes you insecure, that makes you all of these emotions.
No, for me it was not like that. It was more like, I don't know, it's not obsessed, but I knew I did not want to lose all the hard work that I've done. And in order to maintain this, I had to be very strict with my diet. And I was getting already, because when you do diet, unfortunately, you get cranky, depending on how much carbs you have.
Very, very cranky.
You get cranky. And if you miss your meal or something like that, you get like really. So it did affect my private life before. I won't lie to you. I did not know how to control it. I did not know how to balance it, because when it's something new and you believe that the entertainment is going to be where it's going to bring the money out of you, so you're willing to make the sacrifice, but it does affect people around you. And that's the part that you need to find a balance and how to suck it in. I mean, suck it in a way that if you are doing the diet part or the training part, it's on you, not on your friend, not on your family, not on your wife, not on your girlfriend. So why do you have to make the life people around you miserable for that? Because it is your target, your thing, but you cannot, because of your obsession or because of your target, impede on everybody else's life. And it's very important to find the balance. And I learned that if I can share that, with people, it's difficult. The way to go through the fitness journey, I would say, it can be lonely, or if you're lucky, surround yourself with people who have the same passion. Because the people with the same passion will support you to go higher. If you go, for example, my father was the first one who criticized me, seriously criticized me about that. It was like, stop taking protein shakes, stop being like, you're going like that, making fun of me. No, really, it was the first one to always do that, till the day he got handicapped from a lower body, and his doctor told him, you should do more small meals to speed up your metabolism, eat more protein and more vegetables. And he came to me even as an old man and said, son, you were right. But to not only to talk about, there is part of health that I want to highlight here, because talking about my father who got sick. After training and taking protein, I was totally against taking supplement. But then the only supplement that I'm taking, I told you before, is protein shake. And I was scared of that. Even taking care of that, I was scared. So after 1 year doing this, I did a one health checkup before. And they told me that, I have high cholesterol, heart attack history in the family, blood pressure high, etc., etc. 1 year later, after training and diet, I did a health check. And then they come to me and they said, you aced it. If
Boom.
ever, exactly. And if ever all my patients are like you, I'm out of job. So it's the time you tell yourself, hey, not only I can look good, but on the inside, it does something good for my health. So that's the part that I started to understand. And then coming back to the other parts of when you have a social life with people that don't train, you need to tell your mindset, don't put your obsession or your target into other people, whatever it is, whether it's fitness or other thing. You have to know how to switch. And
Yeah.
that's the part. For example, I did it sometime when I had to shoot my first movie. I had a business conference in China. I was shooting with your dad actually. I was
Really?
shooting with your dad on my first movie, Trisat. It's called Tracer.
Hmm.
And we were shooting in Dalat, and at that time I fractured my ankle without, it was the wrong technique for the kick. And I had to fly immediately to China for a business conference. And at that time, I didn't have time to go to the hospital to check my ankle was fractured. When I arrived in China, they told me, oh, we want to climb the top of the mountain to do to see some tourism stuff. And I was like, okay. At night, my feet was like that. I was putting some ice. I was still controlling my diet really, really tightly. And then came back to Vietnam, and then I took another flight to go to Holland. And same thing, I was controlling my diet all the time. I was very weak. I didn't show my business partner my weakness or anything like that. And then as soon as I came back to Vietnam, the next day I was shooting again. So your mindset need to be really strong to do what you have to do, to be committed in what you want to achieve. No matter circumstances of life, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's work, do not let your fitness journey affect the other people. And you need to learn how to be flexible. Example, I was getting so obsessed in bracket that I would not even dare to go to a restaurant because I have to control every single gram of what I eat. That used to be me as a beginner in my fitness journey. But later on, when I had more experience, I can go to a restaurant with my friend, but I know how to target how many grams is this and how many grams is that. So it looks like I have a normal life like them, but actually I control exactly what I eat. So
Hmm.
it doesn't affect them, it doesn't make them uncomfortable. Because when you start to be difficult at the end, then people don't want to, call you back to go out or anything anymore. Even for business, they you need to drink sometime, and you have to find compromise. And I think you can reach your target in fitness. Don't impede on other people for your target or your goals, and find compromise.
Yeah. Wow. That I that is incredible. I mean, I also really relate to you because I'm also in the when you're measuring every gram and everyone's eating and you're just sat there with sparkling water. Do you want food? No. Why? I can't weigh it. I don't know how it was cooked. I don't know what, my rice is this rice. This rice is a different rice. I don't want, so I'm learning so much off you, interviewing you, learning off you. And
Yeah, imagine. I remember that I used to have this restaurant. I asked them, for example, for the sashimi salmon. I was asking how many grams is that. So I was identifying which restaurant, and imagine you go to the restaurant and said how many grams, how many grams. So after you learn after a while, and you can play around with it, and but yes, that's what's you know. It's you have to learn how to be multitasking. You have to not
yeah,
only keep your goals, but also enjoy your life, and do other things. I mean, fitness is one thing, but fitness opened me so many doors, so many doors. I train people all around the world. I meet people who love fitness all around the world. The only place I feel very, very skinny is the US. When you go to Gold Gym.
Oh, those on stuff. They are on stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It-
that's the other part. So the other thing that I used to do is I used to do seminars for kids. I want
yeah.
to give back to the next generation, and for me to be naturally built is the main key.
Yeah. Certainly. And I want to get your thoughts on this too. I know maybe when you were growing up, there were less, steroid usage wasn't as high, but now I'm scrolling on Instagram or I'm trying to look at some fitness thing, and now it's almost as if 18-year-olds on steroids. I even saw the other day there were some 14-year-olds just blasting steroids, and my mind is like, what? And that's another thing I wanted to ask you too, because you've built such a physique, you've built a reputation, and you're doing it all naturally as well. What can you say to those people who are just trying to, like, oh, let me take steroids, let me take testosterone, let me try this, let me
All right,
if
I tell you two things. I may look strong on the outside, but there is certain things that I don't like. I'm scared of needle. I don't like
oh, me
needle.
too, man. Me too.
Deflate my muscle. No good. No, that's no, just I mean that. Of course, I don't like needle. Okay, let's put
Yeah.
it this way. One part. Second part is uh, steroids. The problem with it is that it also does have side effects. And I believe me, I've seen some kids, 16, 19 years old, lifting as heavy as I do, or even sometimes a little bit more. But I think one word you have to look into, and when you're younger, you don't pay attention to that. It's called longevity. So you have to think. I remember one guy told me he used to take stuff, and then he started to get a bubble on his chest or something like that. I don't know what it was, and I was like, you know, or you will always make the difference between someone who has like a natural physique and someone who doesn't, because the one who doesn't usually will always look ripped, and his muscle are fully dry and like square and thing, and you will see it. Also, like someone who takes serious, usually they will have skin problem as
Mm,
well. Uh, so I mean, don't mistake me. A lot of people who compete used to take it. It's their choice, it's their life. But if I have one piece of advice for the other one, is just try not to uh, take anything and go the old traditional way. There's nothing wrong about it.
yeah. Certainly, certainly. Unfortunately, we're almost at the end. I mean, May I have to have you back on the show another time. There's so
No, man.
many things to talk about. But last question, well, last one or two. I like asking questions, so maybe even three. You're a parent now, and you're a father. You have a beautiful family. How important is it to you? Not important, I guess. Do you feel the pressure of your if I'm not mistaken, you just had a little girl
Yeah.
and you got two young boys. Everyone, I know for a boy especially, you're like, Dad, go, Dad, go, Dad. Do you feel the pressure from being there for your
It's
boys, for your family?
the pressure is a pressure that you're gonna give to yourself. But it's true that once you start to have kids, you want to be a role model for your kids. And as much as I wanted to lead my passion or everything, I do wish and hope for my kids that whatever I did is an example of how hard work pays off. So my pressure in that sense was that I want to send a message to my kids and saying, guys, whenever you tell yourself it's not possible, I made it, and I can show them some of my work. My kids are a little bit too spoiled right now, so they when they see my poster in the gym or my advertising in the street, they're like, they're cool. they don't say nothing. But when they don't see it, they're like, Dad, where's your poster? Now to tell you how the impact is, my son is joining PSG Academy Pro. Is
Awesome.
He's in France right now. He's 12 years old. He's on his own, boarding school and aspiring soccer player, following his dream. I've been very diligent when it comes to sports. So all my kids know how to do martial arts, acrobatics, and they're quite physical, I would say, because that was the lifestyle I'm upon. So it did have quite an impact on them. Every time when they come to Vietnam, they're like, Dad, I want to go and train weights with you. But I'm like, I don't want to make them too much weight because they're too young. But it's just they look at me as a strong person and they feel safe and they want to look like that.
Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Perhaps one last question, because I know you've mentioned how your kids want to view you, how you want to be their role model. What do you want? I guess this is also probably tied into being a role model, but what do you want your legacy to be? When you hang up, or in football terms, when you hang up your boots and you call it a day, how do you want people to remember you?
Well, see, that was another part we didn't talk about. See, when I pushed myself to my limits, when I did my first movie, which was actually the movie I did with your dad, I wanted to prove that you could have a Hollywood physique without paying thousands and thousands of dollars for a personal trainer of the Hollywood, and that you don't need to take stuff. I wanted to be remembered as well as one actor who reached the international standard physique and can put it into movie. And that's I would say my first approach when I did my first movie. Then later on into the fitness journey, I want to share all this content of things that I've done, things I would have done differently, things I would advise to people. I would never tell people you should do that or this or that. I mean, each people have different ways, but if people could benefit from my mistakes to get faster result, that would be a win. That would be a legacy to me. So the fitness journey would be about this. For the movie industry was like, man, if I show you a picture of me skinny, you'll be scared to death. It's like, how does this guy end up to that guy? And naturally on top of it. But to tell you to a level, after I did my movies, when I went back to France to meet my old schoolmate in high school and so on, they did not believe I reached to that level. They didn't think it was possible. They still look at me as this very nerdy, introvert Asian guy and didn't think it was possible. And when they see my work, they're like speechless. So the legacy is this one. Of course, I always wanted to go to another higher level. But remember what I told you at the beginning of the interview. I told you two things. When I was a kid, I wanted to do modeling and I wanted to be an actor. And if I show you the picture of how I was before, from this kid who told himself he's going to be that, I've done it all.
Mate, absolutely incredible. Incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of episode 3. Marcus, thank you so much for being on the show. We are going to have him back. I hope you guys listening enjoyed this as much as I have. Marcus, for those who want to find you, where can they find you? I'll put them all in the description, by the way, but just so you can share with everyone.
Well, they can contact me on social media. It's Marcus Guilhem, whether on Facebook, Instagram. I'm more than happy to share my experience with you guys.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Until next time, guys, like, share, and subscribe.